Hello everyone. Do you know that gastric cancer is one of the most common cancers worldwide, especially in East Asia? According to the World Health Organization statistics, more than 1 million people are diagnosed with gastric cancer every year, and about 800,000 people die from it. Therefore, it is essential to understand the high-risk population of gastric cancer and take corresponding preventive measures. First of all, let's take a look at the high-risk population. According to medical research, the following groups of people are more likely to develop gastric cancer. 1. People who are detected to be infected with Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori is a bacterium that can infect the stomach and is considered one of the high-risk factors for gastric cancer. Studies have shown that people infected with Helicobacter pylori are more than 5 times more likely to develop gastric cancer than the general population. 2. People who have been eating high salt, high oil, and high-calorie foods for a long time. Dietary habits also have a significant impact on the occurrence of gastric cancer. Long-term consumption of high salt, high oil, and high-calorie foods can easily lead to acid-base imbalance in the stomach and increase the risk of developing gastric cancer. 3. People who smoke and drink excessively for a long time. Smoking and drinking are both risk factors for gastric cancer. Studies have shown that people who smoke and drink excessively for a long time are significantly more likely to develop gastric cancer. 4. People with stomach diseases such as chronic gastritis and peptic ulcers. People with stomach diseases such as chronic gastritis and peptic ulcers are also one of the high-risk populations for gastric cancer. These diseases can stimulate and damage the gastric mucosa, increasing the risk of developing gastric cancer. 5. People with a family history of gastric cancer. Gastric cancer is also related to genetic factors. If you have a direct relative with gastric cancer, your risk of developing it will increase. Now that we have identified the high-risk population, what we need to discuss next is how to prevent gastric cancer. The following suggestions may be helpful. 1. Maintain healthy dietary habits. Research has shown that excessive intake of salt, smoked and pickled foods in the diet may increase the risk of developing gastric cancer. One study found that people who consume too much salt every day have a 1.6 times higher risk of developing gastric cancer than those who consume salt normally. Therefore, you should reduce the intake of these foods and eat more fresh vegetables, whole grains and other foods. 2. Regularly receive Helicobacter pylori testing and treatment. Helicobacter pylori is a bacterium that can infect human gastric mucosa and is closely related to stomach diseases such as chronic gastritis, peptic ulcers, and gastric cancer. A large-scale study found that people who received Helicobacter pylori treatment reduced their risk of developing gastric cancer by 50%. Therefore, regular Helicobacter pylori testing and treatment are essential for preventing gastric cancer. 3. Quit smoking and limit alcohol consumption. Smoking and excessive alcohol consumption are considered important risk factors for gastric cancer. Studies have shown that smokers have a 60% higher risk of developing gastric cancer than non-smokers, while excessive alcohol consumption also significantly increases the risk of developing gastric cancer. Therefore, quitting smoking and limiting alcohol consumption are important for preventing gastric cancer. 4. Regular physical examination. Early detection of gastric cancer is key to improving treatment success rates. In the early stages of gastric cancer, symptoms are often not obvious, so regular stomach examinations, such as gastroscopy, are essential for high-risk populations. One study found that people who regularly undergo gastroscopy have a significantly lower mortality rate from gastric cancer. In summary, for high-risk populations, maintaining healthy dietary habits, regularly testing and treating Helicobacter pylori infection, quitting smoking and limiting alcohol consumption, regular physical examination are key measures to prevent gastric cancer. At the same time, developing good living habits and maintaining normal psychological status are also essential for preventing cancer. I hope this helps you understand more about stomach cancer. Remember that good health is our most important asset. Let's work together to resist the invasion of stomach cancer.